Quivering Desire. Chapter 6. Poisoned by Desire. He offered, because of course he did, always the gentleman, even now. "Let me take you home," he said, voice soft and steady. The kind of steady that was anything but calm. That voice. It did something to me. Turned simple phrases into sin. But I didn't want safe. I didn't want an ending. I wanted more. "No," I said quietly, eyes locking with his. "Take me back to your hotel." There was a pause. Barely half a second. But I felt it. Saw it. That flicker in his gaze, like something ancient and raw had just awakened. Not shock, not even surprise. Just recognition. Like he'd been hoping I'd say it but hadn't dared assume. Like we'd both already known we'd reached the point of no return, and this was just the moment we stopped pretending. He didn't speak, just nodded once and turned, leading the way. We left the garage without a word, but the silence between us wasn't empty. It was charged. Our footsteps echoed against the quiet night. His jacket brushed mine as we walked side by side, too close not to touch, still holding that last sliver of restraint between us. Every part of me buzzed with it. The ache hadn't faded. It had deepened. Slowed into something heavier, more dangerous. A few people passed us on the sidewalk. I barely noticed. I was aware only of him, his heat, his scent, the way his eyes glanced down to my lips when he thought I wasn't looking, the way he seemed to move slower now, like drawing out the walk was its own kind of language. When we stepped into the lobby, the light hit us differently. I felt bare, exposed. Like the woman beside him wasn't the one who had walked out of that garage, but someone new. Someone stripped down to her want, her hunger, her truth. He pressed the elevator button, and I could feel his pulse even though we weren't touching. Still, we said nothing. But when the doors opened and he reached for my hand, finally, deliberately, I didn't hesitate. I let him lead me in, fingers laced tight in his, and as the doors slid shut behind us, sealing us inside that mirrored box, I exhaled. Not in relief, in surrender, because whatever this was, wherever it was going, I was already his, and I had no desire, no ability, to stop it now. The moment the doors closed, I turned to him. I kissed him, deep, consuming. Not to seduce, not to provoke, but to say, "I'm still here. I'm still yours." His hands grazed my waist, holding back just enough, like he knew that if he gave in fully in this narrow steel box, we'd never make it to the room. When we reached his floor, my steps were quiet, but deliberate. His just behind mine, close enough to feel, not close enough to touch. The door clicked open. I walked in ahead of him. He had barely set down his keycard when I turned. What followed wasn't what either of us had planned. It was something truer than a plan. A reckoning. Not just physical, but deeply, quietly emotional. We had been dancing around something enormous all weekend, and this was the moment we finally let it land. He moved with intention. Not urgency, not desperation, but with a patience that felt almost reverent. Like he was taking his time because I was worth taking time with. Like he wanted to remember every moment of it. And I, for the first time in longer than I could admit, let myself be fully present, not performing, not calculating, not holding anything back. Just here, just his, just this. His touch was steady and unhurried, tracing every curve like he was reading something sacred in the language of my skin. And when I finally let go, really let go, it moved through me in waves. Trembling, gasping, surrendering to the heat. He stayed with me through all of it, never pulling back, never rushing ahead, just holding me. With his hands, his warmth, his presence, as if he needed it too. as if what was happening between us was as much his undoing as mine. Afterward, we lay tangled together, the room quiet and amber, our heartbeats slowly finding their way back to something ordinary. His hand traced slow, lazy patterns along my side, warm, gentle, grounding. Not the urgency of before, but something softer, something healing. I felt it in my chest, that rare, aching relief of feeling safe. Not just in body, but in spirit. As if the pieces I'd spent years holding together had finally found a place to rest. When I opened my eyes, there was no self-consciousness, no performance. The layers we wore around others, shyness, guard, the careful curation of ourselves, were gone. There were no roles left between us, just two people who had dared to be fully seen. He leaned in and brushed his lips against my temple, his breath warm against my skin. "Are you okay?" he whispered. It wasn't just about my body. I could hear that. There was something trembling in his voice, a kind of hesitation that made the question bigger than it sounded. As if what he was really asking was, "Do you feel this too?" I nodded, my fingers curling into his chest, not wanting to move. "More than okay," I whispered back, my voice thick at the edges. I've never felt anything like this." His arm tightened around me, drawing me closer. His hand found mine, fingers intertwining slowly, gently, like a silent vow he didn't yet know how to speak aloud. And even with the weight of what we had just shared, it didn't feel heavy. It felt light, like the world had tilted just slightly, and we had found a new center. Each other. This wasn't just lust. It wasn't just chemistry. It was something quietly anchoring, a secret neither of us had known we were keeping until now. He started, then paused, swallowed, like he needed a moment to gather the truth before speaking it. "You're more than I ever expected." I turned to look at him, really look. And in his eyes I saw it, this unguarded, honest thing. Like I was the answer to a question he hadn't realized he'd been asking. It made my heart race, made something inside me stretch open in ways I hadn't expected either. "More than you expected?" I echoed, trying to tease, but my voice came out soft, unsure, because I hadn't expected this either. I hadn't expected him to feel like this. He smiled, gentle, raw, real. "Yeah. More." And just like that, the air between us shifted again, charged with something fragile and full of promise. We didn't need to define it. We didn't need to know where it was going. All that mattered was that something was happening, and it felt worth trusting. I pulled him closer, my lips brushing against his in a soft, unhurried kiss. No urgency, no chase, just connection. The kind that says, "I see you. I trust this." He kissed me back just as gently, his hand cradling my face like I was something precious. And I let him. I let it all in. His touch, his warmth, this terrifying, beautiful thing we were building. For the first time, I didn't hold back. I let myself feel it, entirely, freely, without hesitation, without fear. When we finally pulled back, our foreheads rested together, breath mingling in the hush between us. The silence was full, not empty, full of everything we weren't saying and everything we had already shared. I could hear my heartbeat, quiet, steady, and specific, as if it had finally found something to beat for. End of Chapter 6. If you're enjoying the story, this is the tamed version. If you want the full, unedited, Quivering Desire, every heat, every detail, every moment we had to leave out to keep it clean for this platform, grab your physical copy and enjoy the uninhibited version.